I don't know about you, but I miss the days when Plan B was just a wrapper. Now it's a system of increased restrictions that could be rolled out across England. Plan B would essentially mean vaccine passports in some settings, and mandatory mask wearing as well, and the government, of course, could issue advice on us to work from home. Now, I got an Uber this morning, and the driver said to me that she was waiting for a customer outside King's Cross on Friday, and British Transport Police were checking people in the back of taxis to make sure that they had masks, and if they didn't, they were hauling them out. Now, obviously, I haven't really had time yet this morning to verify that with the old BTP, but they may well deny that it ever happened. But it was interesting my Uber driver said that, and it's a weird thing to lie about, isn't it? I'm concerned that we're hurtling towards Plan B without too much need for it. We're testing more people than any other country in the world, so our case numbers are rising, but our deaths are largely the same as the rest of Europe. But I'm also concerned about where the real clamour for increased restrictions is actually coming from. It seems to be coming mostly from unions, left-leaning media outlets and scientists that have been so consistently inept that they might as well play in central defence for Manchester United. You've got the BMA calling for it, but at the same time they're calling for a GP strike. So some cynics out there may be forgiven for thinking that it's actually just a work-shy establishment with political motives and not a body of people who care, well, frankly, about how many bodies there are. The Education Union, the NAHT, are kicking off and suggesting that there should be a return to homeschooling. Pretty much all of the questions at the latest press briefing were accusing the government of being too slow to enforce more restrictions. I just can't help but feel that the push for additional restrictions may be more politically motivated than grounded in actual fact. You may not be aware that Independent Sage includes members such as Professor Gabriel Scally, who donated £20,000 to Andy Burnham's campaign and has shown his support for Keir Starmer. Professor Susan Michie, dubbed Stalin's nanny, is a key member of the Communist Party of Britain. Professor Anthony Costello described himself as to the left of Jeremy Corbyn. I could go on, ladies and gentlemen. And then let's have a look at who's doing a lot of this so-called factual predictions and given airtime to across the media. It's good old Professor Pants Down, isn't it? Neil Ferguson, who's been wrong so often, he makes weatherman Michael Fish look like the Oracle. Even a stop clock is right twice a day, but not old Neil. He said that cases may surge to 100,000, possibly 200,000 a day, and they did seem to peak at a lot less than that during our terrifying first wave, didn't they? But recent research modelling from the London School of Hygiene and Tropical Medicine suggests that infections will soon peak before declining sharply in the winter without us even implementing so-called Plan B. Now, I'm worried that Plan B could lead to Plan C, and I'm worried by how increasingly authoritarian some of our politicians have become. And given in to even the smallest amount of increased restrictions, I think, could be a slippery slope. Just look at Scottish Labour leader Anna Sarwar, saying we now have a situation where we know where the unvaccinated people live and that we should be doing door-to-door vaccinations. Well, Anna, you're welcome to come and knock on my door anytime.